You're not an old runner, but you are older. And when you start running when you're older, there are a few hard truths that are unique to your situation. I've come up with 9 anyway. So if you want to avoid issues and navigate your way through this new journey, then here are the 9 hard truths of being a beginner over 30. And if the video helps in any way, consider subscribing so we can help you more. So I thought this might be an interesting way of giving you the information this week, and that's taking you through a week of our training and how we train as slightly over 30, just marginally. But also, if you're not a beginner, this might also help you look at training in a different way, even if you've been running for quite a long time. So I'm hoping that it's going to benefit anyone that watches the video.
And whilst I did run as a child, I didn't run for a very long time, so I really consider that I was a new runner in my 30s when I took it back up again.
So maybe you can offer a unique perspective on things. Okay, Mary, kettlebell workout. My first point, and probably, I don't know, maybe this is the most important, but when you get older, when you're over 30 and you begin running, progress is slower. But the message that I want to give you is that that's okay. I think what I'm getting at is that as you get older, you kind of have to be kinder to yourself in terms of the progress you're making, because it is slow, although it can be even when you're younger. The way I look at it is that progress isn't made in days or weeks, it's made and judged over months and years. And also, you know, there's that age-old adage that progress isn't linear. There's going to be setbacks. You're not going to go as fast as you can upwards. Sometimes there's going to be like injuries or niggles or work or life, and there's knockbacks. So when you're a little bit older, you have children, or you have busy jobs, or you have both, or you have all, or, you know, it's not as easy as when we were younger. That's what we've got to keep thinking. So we just need to remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not built in days, weeks, months, even years, to be honest with you. This is now a process. So slow or fast, that's what you're in it for.
My point is actually that when you're older, things can go wrong quicker. So a tightness or a niggle can quite quickly turn into an injury. So you've got to be really aware of that and put in the work in the prehab in order to keep yourself on track and not wipe yourself out. So when I talk about things going wrong and doing prehab, I'm not just talking about strength and conditioning. So basically, we're just thinking about anything we can do to keep ourselves running consistently and stay in the game. Like grid foam rolling, strength and conditioning, massage, yoga, dry needling. We started to realise that while the cost of things like this can be a lot upfront, that far outweighs the cost of coming back from a full injury and the cost of that injury mentally as well. And it might look a little bit ridiculous, but we just really enjoy spending our money on running, things that help us keep running and keep consistent with our training. So I'm enjoying this.
And while we're here at the track doing 1200 meter repeats for our marathon training, it's worth touching on the next point, perfectly summed up by what I'm doing, is that what you're gonna do, or what you're gonna find when you come into running when you're a little bit older, is you might bring some ego into it that you need to put in a box and get rid of pretty easy. You just have to hold on for a second, because I'm doing my 1200 meter repeats. That was spicy. So I think what happens is, when people come into running, at any age actually, but it's probably more important when you're older, is they think that walking is some kind of no-no if you're a runner. You must not walk. You must not walk in a race. You must not walk in training. And you just need to know, well, first of all, I know I'm doing intervals, but look what I'm doing right now. I am walking. And just to hammer home the point, look what I found. Another old boy. 2 old boys running, but the point I'm making is that although we're running right now, we walk a lot in races, particularly the races that we do, and it's absolutely fine. And even Mary has walked in the marathon she recently done. I just think it's time to turn up without any preconceived ideas of what running is or what it takes to be a runner. Put your ego in a box, and just the mere fact that you're getting out there, trying to be better, walking on and running doesn't matter, it's good enough. So I've finished my session and Mary's doing her cool down to talk to you about her point while we're on the track. Mary?
Yeah, it's just like you shouldn't be afraid of speed work when you're a bit older and you start running.
It doesn't have to be all-out sprints.
I'm going to go the other side for the light. Hang on, I got it wrong.
So don't be afraid of speed work and intervals. You just adjust it to you and your pace and where you're at in your running. You can find intervals that work for you and your level and embrace it, because it's so much fun and you feel awesome when you're out here. So an interval session can be anything that's not base pace or anything that's not continuous. So one of my favourite sessions is kilometre repeats, and just doing them at my marathon pace. So it's not all out, doesn't have to be like your 5k pace or below. Find stuff that works for you, and it just helps to mix up your running, bring variety, and yeah, helps you get the most out of it.
And it's another way to help you feel like you're a runner. It's different, isn't it? It's mixing it up. So the double message, I guess, is don't be afraid of the track, don't be afraid of walking, take your ego out of it if you're a beginner. It's all just meant to be, joyful, and we've just had a great run, right?
Yeah, awesome.
It's Wednesday, and for me that means bike. And I've got a few triathlons coming up, so I thought it was probably a good time to talk about another thing that may well happen if you start your running journey when you're over 30, and it's the fear of competition, that fear of stepping into a racing environment, whether that be triathlon or running. And I think maybe the first thing to get our heads around, and this can be, beginner runners, but it's also just as relevant for any runner, is that when we say competition, when we say races, what are you racing against? See, I like to look at it like this, is that a race, competition, call it what you want. I'm not really racing against another person, not really competing against another person, competing against myself. It's a really good way of seeing how my training is going. I never really go into a race thinking, oh my goodness, I'm worried because I'm going up against this person or that person. I actually find races really inspiring to see everyone just trying to be their best on that day. And if you're still not sold on the benefits of competition for whatever reason, do me this favour. If you're in a country where it exists, go to a park run, and I think you'll be blown away by how friendly and enthusiastic people are, and the fact that it's free and can be pressure free is a really good in to competition, and just let you experience what you're missing out on, because honestly, it's you against you and people just want to support you and big you up. Amazing thing to do. And hard truth number 6 is that when you come into running at later points, then you might have a tendency to rush it, and I mean both physically and with your learning. Have you ever heard the phrase, if you try and chase all of the rabbits, you'll catch none? It's a little bit like that with your training. There is so much to learn when it comes to running that it can be actually quite overwhelming. You have to learn all the phrases like tempo and intervals and float and recovery and all of this stuff, and not only do you have to learn it, you have to then put it into practice. And because you feel like maybe you've missed time because you haven't been running all of your life, you need to catch up, so you need to do it all at once. And I'm here to say that that absolutely is the fast way to injury, and it can be quite overwhelming anyway. So here's what I would suggest. Focus on one thing for a block or two, and I call a block 4 weeks, but it could be 8 weeks of training. You could focus on just building your aerobic base, doing it in training and learning about it outside of training. Or you could do interval work and learning some interval sessions in training and then doing them. You could learn about yoga for a bit. You could learn about tempo runs for a bit. But I would say focus on one thing each time and then move on. So you're allowing your body to keep up, you're not pushing it in too many different directions, and you're learning bit by bit what it takes to be a runner. It's a long process, not a short process. Take your time and enjoy it. And when you come into running over 30, there is potential that you have a pretty bad relationship with sleep. Not always, but many people come into it without the mindset of someone who is now training, now a runner. And when you train, when you run, you need to recover, and sleep is the cornerstone of that process. So in your 20s, if you've created bad habits like staying up late or not getting enough sleep, like less than 7 hours, then turning that all around has to be a priority. Because without good quality and enough sleep, all you're going to do is lower the quality of your training as well. So heed those words. Make sure that you recover properly by getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, like I do every night, because I absolutely love it. Good night. And and it's Thursday now, so Mary's on a tempo run and I'm on an easy run. We're gonna go together and make our other hard truth points while we're out there, but it's gonna be a good day. I can feel it.
My hard truth for today is that it can be tempting when you start running to compare yourself to other people and other runners. And I'm here to tell you that you absolutely should not do that. Comparison is a really dangerous thing, and it can really take the joy out of running and really affect your confidence and your experience of doing it. This kind of builds on from Ben's point yesterday about not comparing yourself in races and competition, but what I want to talk about is really relevant to your training. You know, you could be out on a training run and somebody flies past you, but you've got no idea what they're doing, what they're training for. You know, you could be training for a marathon or an ultra marathon, and they could be doing speed work for a 5K. Just focus on your own journey and your own progress and your own consistency. Also, you don't know how long people have been running for. They could have been running consistently throughout their lifetime, or they maybe just started. So there's no point thinking about the comparison, just focus on you.
And the final hard truth, and probably my favorite actually, is that you will potentially, not always, but most of the time, come into running for the wrong reasons. But they're not bad reasons, they just might be the wrong reasons. And you might say, well, Ben, I don't think there are any wrong reasons to get into running. And actually, you're kind of right. There's no wrong reasons to start running. But if you want to attach yourself to running for the rest of your life, there's pretty much only one reason, and that is to be a healthier, better person. So you could start running to lose some weight, you could start running to run a certain pace or to run a certain distance or a race, and that's okay if it gets you in the door. But these are goal focused, and what we want to be is process focused, as in just the joy, the absolute joy of being out here. And Mary might not look joyous because we're in the middle of a tempo session, but I can guarantee you she is joyous about running, right?
I will be soon.
So what I'm saying is, it's okay to want to lose weight or run in a race or run a time. I certainly do want to do some of those things, but have them as a byproduct of the process of trying to be a better, healthier person. And you can't go wrong. They'll still happen, but they don't have to be your outcome. The outcome should be finding that joy, like we're finding, in as many runs as you can somehow. So if the video has helped in any way, consider subscribing, and also watch this video, which I think you're going to like, which is the 9 hard truths of running, which are all the things that I wish people had have told me about running that I had to learn the hard way. So hopefully you don't have to. And I'll see you next Sunday.